Well, guys, it's the second update of President Trump China visit, and it's a humiliation for President Trump and all the Maga. So I just want to say, I just want to show what is going on. And Trump just faced a global humiliation. Trump just went to China, and the president of China, he didn't came when Trump just landed there, and president of China, he didn't came to welcome President Trump. And President Trump is a president of USA. USA is a superpower country. First of all, take a look at this clip, guys.
New bombshell story involving Donald Trump and China is sending shockwaves throughout the political world and causing many prominent MAGA Republicans, including MAGA Fox News host Laura Ingraham, MAGA podcaster Megyn Kelly, and recent former MAGA Republican Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene, to freak out. And one title refers to it as an error of world historic proportions. And so we have to talk about it. But before we do, if you end up liking this video and you want to support the channel, please be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and alert bells before you go. As The Hill notes, Greene, Ingram, and others alarmed at potential Trump-Xi $1 trillion investment deal, referring to Chinese leader Xi Jinping. Let's look at the article itself, and we will then look at people's reactions. Again, Mediaite noting Fox News' Laura Ingraham shares post saying Trump is, quote, on verge of making massive error with potential China deal. And we'll get to the reaction, but let's look at the article itself. Raw Story is the one that broke it. Trump on verge of, quote, error of world historic proportions against aides advice, according to a report. Always one looking to make a splashy deal, Donald Trump is giving serious consideration to allowing China to make a massive investment in the U.S., against the advice of some of his closest advisors, an expert warned Friday. In a column for the New York Times, conservative economist Orrin Cass reported Trump, quote, may be on the verge of tying the United States to China irrevocably. Trump and Xi Jinping are reportedly considering a deal to allow China to invest $1 trillion in the United States, largely to build factories on American soil. Cass described that scenario as, quote, an unforced error of world historic proportions. So I should note that China is using and has been using for years, if not decades, soft power to gain enormous leverage over other countries and to involve itself, perhaps even inextricably, with other countries.
Well, President Trump says president of China is my friend. And in several speeches, he's saying for years, I have listened to President Trump in the election campaign as well of 2024 elections. But I have not listened to China. He's saying President Trump is my friend. He's my good friend. USA is my good friend. Even Trump also says President of Russia is my friend. Still, a lot of political commentators, they are claiming China is an ally of Iran. And why Trump just went to China? They're asking again and again why he just went to China. And when he went to China, President of China didn't came to welcome President Trump. That's a humiliation for President Trump.
Particularly in Africa. It's called the Silk Road Initiative, if I remember correctly. So rather than project hard military power in bases across the world, China, yes, has been building up its military, but it uses economic investment to entice people diplomatically, financially, monetarily into their orbit as a way to oppose the hegemony of the United States. And according to this report, Trump is seriously considering giving them a massive trillion-dollar foothold here in the United States. So let's continue. The reported negotiations came as Trump prepares for a trip to China and seeks to cement his legacy as a deal maker, even if that deal undermines the very trade agenda he championed. While Trump's approach to China has frequently put him at odds with his own administration, his willingness to consider the investment, let's continue, stems from a fundamental misunderstanding of the relationship. Trump sees China as simply offering a bad deal and believes the remedy is negotiating a better one, Cass wrote. And he's proceeding despite concern from his advisors in the administration. Quote, I don't blame China, Trump notably told business leaders in Beijing in 2017. Quote, after all, who can blame a country for being able to take advantage of another country for the benefit of its citizen? I give China great credit. According to The Economist, again, Orrin Cass, this transactional worldview fails to account for the strategic reality that Chinese investment operates under fundamentally different rules than American capital flows. A $1 trillion infusion of Chinese capital would exceed the total direct investment in the United States made by any other country since the Declaration of Independence. He wrote before adding that even a fraction of that amount would devastate what remains of American economic defenses, weakening national security and supply chain resilience while handing the Chinese Communist Party a powerful tool to subvert U.S. markets. Unlike American companies that pursue their own goals with relatively little political interference, Chinese companies operate at the pleasure of the Communist Party. When a party decides to dominate an industry, it can offer virtually unlimited financial support and access to a virtually unlimited labor pool. Quote, welcoming that model to our shores would be a catastrophe for the United States, Cass wrote. In recent weeks, key administration figures, including Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick, have cast doubt on accepting Chinese investment. However, with Trump, it remains unclear whether resistance represents a firm position or simply a negotiating posture. If Trump proceeds with the deal, he risks becoming the president who did more than anyone to warn about the dangers of the China relationship, only to embed that relationship and its dangers into the foundation of the nation's economy, Cass warned. Now, in response to this, Laura Ingraham is freaking out.
Wait a minute. President Trump just went to China to make relationships better with China. You know, the people in USA, they believe China is not good for us. Even Russia is not good for us. They are, I'm from Asia. I'm a student of just politics. Here in Asia, people say China is competing USA. Even they are saying China is the upcoming superpower country in the world. And right now, everybody knows that USA is a superpower country. But people say in Asia and all over the world, everybody knows that USA is a superpower country. And they also say China is getting better. They are going to replace USA as a superpower country in upcoming years. And they are so much developed now. President Trump goes there and he says, President Xi is my friend, President of Russia is my friend, all these words. So a lot of political commentators, they are not liking these comments of President Trump. He says several times on media, live on camera. But now you will see, he will say, I have bring a lot of investments to USA. Do you remember he was also saying when he just visited Saudi Arabia a few months back, he was saying, I have bring a lot of massive investments in United States, and the Democrats, they were not serious. President Biden was not serious about this. I'm a person who is going to make America great again. But now everybody is confused what's going on and what would happen to America in upcoming years. What's your opinion? You can tell me in the comment section, guys.
Exclamation point, exclamation point. Not good. We're going to look at some of the reactions here. Megyn Kelly, MAGA podcaster, responds with an OMG. Leftist political commentator Hassan Piker says, between this and the JCPOA-style ceasefire deal over the Strait of Hormuz, this man is literally reheating Obama's nachos with way more favorable terms for U.S. adversaries, which is true. Democratic Congressman Ro Khanna says, I went on Fox News to urge Trump not to allow China to set up subsidized factories for cars, glass, and steel in the United States. He attacked me twice on Truth Social for complaining about Chinese steel. This would be disaster for American workers, and that may indeed be why Trump lashed out, and we did a video about this at Ro Khanna, and he did viciously lash out repeatedly at Ro Khanna and Fox News for daring to have the conversation, and it was fairly anodyne. I mean, the way that Ro Khanna criticized Trump was fairly mild compared to the way most Democrats do, but it could be because Trump is indeed preparing to give China this massive investment foothold in the United States, and maybe it hit a little too close to home. Former MAGA Republican Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene responded with this: the war in Iran must be going worse than we know as the strait remains closed, so much so that China may be allowed to build $1 trillion in factories in the U.S., probably in exchange for help with Iran. Now, before we finish, I will note that Trump was asked about whether or not he would ask Xi Jinping to intervene in the Iran war on Trump's behalf, given that Trump has not really made it anywhere in terms of the negotiations. And Trump dismissed it out of hand. He was almost offended. No, I don't need him to intervene. Well, Marjorie Taylor Greene has an interesting theory here. I'm old enough to remember when MAGA was demanding China not be allowed to own any land in America. But MAGA is whatever Trump says it is, according to him. So now it's for foreign wars and China. Shocking.
Yeah, it's really shocking, and you can see the comments of MTG Marjorie Taylor Greene. She was the one. She was Trump's voice in Congress for years. She turned against President Trump. You have seen Tucker Carlson. He was also saying, "Please forgive me for supporting President Trump and for endorsing President Trump." They all are turning against Trump. And Elon Musk, who is with President Trump in this visit to China, once he posted, do you remember that he posted that there is a name of Trump in the Epstein files? I can see people are, they can't see a progress in USA that Trump promised during election campaign. He promised that I will make America great again. How he will make America great again? I will I will, you know, I will make everything cheaper. I will, especially about, he was talking about gasoline prices, but now it's the opposite. Everybody is facing higher oil prices. It's a reality. You are a proof. You goes, and in your daily life you can face the inflation, higher oil prices due to Trump decision of war with Iran. Everybody is facing inflation in outside of USA as well. But President Trump says people are thanking me for starting this war. Outside of USA, he was saying outside of USA people are thanking me for starting this war. But I can tell you the reports, even on Fox News was reporting that 65% of Americans, they don't want this war. They say it's an unwanted war. So Americans itself, they are not accepting this war, and President Trump is saying the people outside of USA, they are thanking me for starting this war. People outside of USA, they are facing higher oil prices. I can't tell you the situation in Asia. People are suffering, and they are now hating President Trump so much. I can't tell you the situation. But President Trump says the opposite thing. What's the reality? He don't know the reality. People are suffering. They're literally suffering. What's your opinion? What do you want to say about this China visit and Iran war? By the way, Trump just canceled the negotiations with Iran in Pakistan. I don't know why, and what's his plan to, he's going to pursue this war or what, I don't know.